Doug Lesmerises with another KOTN camp report, this time from State College, Pennsylvania on Saturday. I went to Penn State's Media Day and saw a little part of their third practice of the season. And the word at Penn State is, I think, kind of the same on both sides of the ball. It's about getting offensively the ball in the hands of their best players. And on defense, I think it's about getting their best player around the ball. But a lot of talk about needing more explosive plays on offense. James Franklin has said that before. He said it again on Saturday. That's why Andy Kotelnicki is here as the new offensive coordinator. But I want to start on defense with Abdul Carter, who everybody knows was one of the best linebackers in the Big Ten last year. He's moving to edge this year, but Tom Allen, the defensive coordinator, and James Franklin both talked Saturday about the idea that he's going to play both positions, linebacker and edge, and it's going to depend week to week according to the game plan, according to the opponent. I think the idea is if maybe you're playing a running team, you let Abdul Carter play linebacker and he can go drag down ball carriers. If you're playing a passing team, let him get after the passer. I think you want him near the ball. And I also had a chance to sort of bring this idea to Abdul Carter and also ask him about the flag planting by our own beloved Bill Landis, that he thinks Abdul Carter will lead the nation in sacks. Here's what Abdul Carter had to say about that.
That's a good intuition because I feel like I put the work in, I will probably end up doing something like that.
Everyone keeps talking about sort of like game to game. The game plan will change on the opponent, and that'll determine where you line it. If it's just going to be if they run the ball, you'll play linebacker, and if they're a passing team, you'll get down and get after the quarterback. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, we'll focus on that, when that time comes. But right now, we just focus on fall camp, just getting the reps in, stacking days, just trying to, perfect our craft right now.
But is your idea when you're on the field, do you just want to be around the ball, involved in the play as many times as possible in a game, sort of regardless of where you line up?
Yeah, I just want to do whatever it takes to win the game. Regardless of where I line up, I just want to play fast, be disruptive and do whatever it takes to win.
Because it feels like offensively, right, there's a lot of talk of you've got to get the ball to your best playmakers. But I think that makes sense on defense too. Like you've got to get your best playmakers to the ball.
Yeah, they both connected. Everything's connected in football. On offense, you want to get your best players the ball. On defense, you want to find a way to get your most disruptive players the ball and just play smart, play together, and just be a unit.
15. Is that a good number? 15 sacks?
Well, the Penn State record is like 15.5, so I'm going for 16.
They thought coming in after last season, losing Johnny Dixon and Kalen King at corner to the NFL draft, would cornerback be a question mark? That's what Tom Allen, the new defensive coordinator, said. They feel like now that has become potentially a strength. They added Jalen Kimber in the transfer portal from Florida, A.J. Harris in the transfer portal from Georgia. James Franklin said he thought A.C. Collins at corner might be the most improved player on the team. Franklin talked about maybe being 6 or 7 deep at corner, and Allen said he likes to play a bunch of guys. So they may rotate there, but I think they might have a couple guys who really stand up. And then Allen said he thinks their 3 safeties are as good as any safety room in the country. They're going to play a lot of nickel, have Jalen Reed kind of come down and be that slot guy. Jalen Reed, Kevin Winston, Zakee Wheatley, they've always had good secondaries here in recent times at Penn State, and they think there's more of the same ahead. They like their linebackers. Deny Dennis Sutton on the defensive line. Tom Allen talked about how he likes the defensive tackles, and then you have Abdul Carter potentially, roaming around and causing a lot of problems. So I think we know what Penn State defense is. I don't think that's changing. It's the offense that's the most interesting thing. Last year, Penn State ranked 109th, tied for 109th in the country with only 30 pass plays of 20 yards or more. At Kansas, where Andy Kotelnicki was the offensive coordinator last year, they had 52 pass plays of 20 yards or more. That was 24th in the country. James Franklin said in making this hire, he didn't just want talk about explosive plays. He wanted data. That's a simple Doug data point. But he looked into this. Andy Kotelnicki's the guy. The other thing is, last year, Penn State only threw 2 interceptions. That was the fewest interceptions in the country. Coaches hate interceptions. Turnovers lose you games. We know that. I kind of like picks every now and then. If you're taking a shot, you're giving a guy a chance to make a play. So I kind of asked Andy Kotelnicki about that idea of the conversations with the quarterbacks right now about being aggressive versus taking care of the ball. I just think they might need to be a little more aggressive. Here's what Andy said.
I don't know that there's a magic number there. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, you want to minimize turnovers and have explosive plays grow up. I don't know that there's a correlation between that, though. What I'm saying is I think we can be an explosive offense and still mitigating risk the way that people would want to. Right now, the difference in our mind a little bit is are we a check down Charlie guy and we're never really throwing the ball down the field or whatever it might be? I think as long as we understand the intent of the plays, why we're calling things, maybe again, if you think about throwing the ball down the field, why is the ball getting thrown down the field? Has it been set up? right? Within game planning, within, an effective run game or whatever it might be, right? Different pass concept. As long as we know why, and if that throw is there for him to take it, then you're happy. If it's not there for him to not force it, that's not what we want. Do you know what I mean? I think there's certain drills, and probably everyone does this cross country, where you do 7-on-7 drill. The 7-on-7 drill to me is a great drill where you can really challenge and find out what a quarterback's arm is capable of doing. You know what I mean? Because it's just the back half, right? And we do that drill plenty for that to be discovered with them. But they know at this point now. You know what I'm saying? They know what they're capable of physically, so they know what throw they could or can't make.
Do explosive plays come from great scheme and setting things up, or is there an aggression factor with your quarterback that you maybe need to be willing to take something even if it's not all the way wide open? You know what I mean? Or is it like, we should scheme this up, man. That's how we'll get big plays.
Yeah. It's a combination of a lot of things. Like obviously you can be an explosive offense when you're giving the ball to your best players. Okay, yeah, thanks, coach, right? But that's a real thing, right? So finding good ways to do that. There are things that we should be able to do schematically to get people open. There are things that we should be able to do complementary to get people open. And again, what I'm going back to, as long as they understand what those are and when those moments and opportunities are going to come up, right? Then you're giving your best chance. Like the reality is this: it's going to be hard to be an explosive offense if a defense took 5 people and stood them all back 20 yards. Mm-hmm. Right now, you could probably hand the ball off and run for a boatload of yards. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So like you have to have balance, and you have to have, complementary things to make sure that people can never get to we're only worrying about defending a deep pass or only defending the run, right? I'm just using those, or a quick game, whatever it might be. So I'm using those as examples. So it's a little bit of everything that you said, but you want to emphasize it.
And then, of course, that comes down to Drew Allar, the guy who's going to be doing that. He has NFL talent, but I think he needs to sort of like let it rip. And I think he needs to be given the opportunity to let it rip. He had a consecutive streak in his career of like not throwing interceptions that was sort of lauded. I almost think it was a bad thing. And so that streak is over. And so let this guy use his talent and go play. They have Tyler Warren at tight end. They have 2 really good backs in Katron Allen and Nick Singleton. They'll be able to run the ball. Nick Dawkins at center. Kotelnicki said he's a rare guy. They love him there. They're replacing a center. They're replacing 2 tackles, but they like the options there. I think this offense has a chance to be like really functional. They have to find some receivers, right? Harrison Wallace is back. Julian Fleming from Ohio State. They need to find that, but a lot of it's going to come down to Drew Allar. And I think it's going to be somewhat about Drew Allar having that balance as a veteran quarterback between don't make mistakes, but also take some shots sometime.
Offensively, we talk about the 3 most important stats in offensive football being the turnover battle, or really in team football, but the turnover battle, explosive play battle, and then scoring, red zone conversion rate. So those are the 3 most important stats that we can be good at. And obviously, we did a good job of taking care of the ball last year, but the explosive plays weren't where we wanted to be as an offense. And I think we've done a better job of being intentional with trying to be more explosive as an offense in both the run and pass game. And I think, not every explosive play is going to be the 50-yard ball downfield. Like it's me being accurate on a flat route to Nick and Katron, allowing them to turn up field and get 15 yards. Us being accurate on bubble passes, allowing the receivers blocking on the perimeter. Like there's a lot more things that go into explosive plays than just, chucking the ball downfield. Obviously, we all want to do that because that's how explosive plays happen. But, we got to do everything in our power to earn the right to throw the ball downfield is what we talk about as an offense. So we just got to, keep that in mind, and everything else will take care of itself.
Is there anything do you think you might take some shots this year, not just down the field, but just when tight coverage or that kind of thing, that you wouldn't have last year, just because you're more experienced or because this seems to, to be an emphasis?
Yeah, I would say yes and no. Like, I think my comfort in being in the offense and, really spending time with the receivers, specifically more in man coverage stuff, because that's where it shows up more, especially on like those third downs and crucial parts of games, where man coverage, shows up more. And we got to be able to win those matchups. So I think talking with the receivers, like one of the best things we've done so far through fall camp is meeting with the receivers, quarterbacks every day. And me leading those with Liam and Trey and Fleming, just talking about certain things. Like the other day, it was an emphasis on out routes versus man coverage and just what that should look like, what I'm seeing as a quarterback, what we're all seeing as quarterbacks in the quarterback room. The receivers just knowing like, okay, this is how fast I got to make that decision, how fast I got to create that separation, and us understanding why they're running certain routes, certain ways against certain leverages. So there's a lot more dialogue. So I think, that just increases trust. And we have a ton of talent in our receiver room. Like, we have guys that can make contested catches, and they've shown that already in camp. So, yeah, I mean, they're earning the right to definitely allow me to throw those balls downfield and give them I just have to give them a shot to touch the ball.
So a lot of potential here at Penn State. I think they are the most interesting team in the 12-team playoff era. It feels like this playoff was built for them. The idea that people are sick of 10-win seasons at Penn State, which has been suggested by others, is crazy to me. We can't live in that world. But I do think it's time for Penn State to kind of take another step. It doesn't mean you're mad about 10-win seasons, but also a 10-win season this year probably gets them in the playoff. Road trips to USC and Wisconsin, the opener at West Virginia, Ohio State here. It's a doable schedule to make a playoff run, but I don't think it's going to happen if they don't attack more offensively, and that's why they made changes. James Franklin said after 11 years, he's entering year 11 here at Penn State, you don't abandon what you've done, but you have to blend things. So it's not going to be Andy Kotelnicki up in the press box going crazy, but James Franklin, I think, understands where they fell short last year, and I think they have a chance. The defense will be what it's been, and the offense, if they can shed kind of what they've been and take another step aggressively, this is a chance to be a very happy season in Happy Valley. That's our KOTN camp report. We'll get out to more teams. We appreciate you guys watching. We want to talk about Northern football in the best way possible, and we want to bring you the best Northern teams. I'm Doug Lesmerises with another camp report on Kings of the North.